Their mission statement is clear. 100 Days is committed to creating restoration in Rwanda. How are they achieving this goal? Well, I've got Dr. Scott Sasser and Linda Cox here to tell us a little bit more about 100 Days. Let's welcome them to the show. So, okay, Dr. Scott, could you tell me a little bit about how 100 Days came to pass?
Sure. We were founded in 2005. We're a small nonprofit that's based in Atlanta, an all-volunteer organization, and we really came to development out of a lifelong friendship that Linda can tell you more about through some friends of ours in Rwanda. And we're in partnership with a church that they founded there shortly after the genocide in 1994. And in a moment when I was talking to our friend and colleague there, he was sharing with me his vision for the church and its role in the community beyond a church that has services on Sunday, but a church that he really wanted to impact his community through public health, through education. And he knew my day job is global health at Emory. And as we talked in the car, we both kind of came to the same conclusion that it was a natural partnership to work together to fulfill his vision and the mission of his church in Africa for restoration in his community. And one key component of that was the vision to provide health care in the community.
Now, have you ever been to Africa?
I've been about 25 times.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So I do, like I said, in my day job, I do global health and at Emory in Atlanta. And so in the course of that conversation, it was a kind of a natural conclusion that this was a great partnership. He was a friend of my family's, a friend of my wife's. I knew I was, for lack of a better word, I was captured by this man's vision and what he wanted his local indigenous African church to do, and the role that they saw that they had to be a part of healing and restoration in the community. And healthcare was a big part of that. So we founded the organization with a broader mission to build restoration in Rwanda, but really with a quite singular focus now, or to build this hospital as a part of the church.
So, Linda, could you tell me a little bit about what you're doing to create this hospital? Like, are you doing fundraisers? Is there a book that I see in your lap?
Yes. Well, I'd just like to say, first of all, that I have like a 30-year relationship with these partners because we lived in Africa for 4 years. Their names are Simon and Kedris Nzeramakenga. Y'all want to try that?
No,
Nzeramakenga.
Sarah McKenga. That sounds like a cake or something.
Yeah. They are just wonderful people. I worked with them in the early 80s, and we maintained a friendship, even though we've been separated for a long, long time. And
How did you keep contact?
Well, actually, we kind of lost contact. We were just like, oh, I heard from so-and-so, hey, how are you, blah, 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 you know, for a little bit. And then after the genocide occurred, we actually were on vacation in Africa because, you know, we love Africa. There's a saying in Africa, he who tastes of African waters must return to quench his thirst. And I always say I'm very thirsty. I love Africa. So we were actually on a vacation as a family in Africa and realized that we were only about an hour and a half, 2 hours from Rwanda, and that they had gone back to Rwanda. So we just decided to go over there and hug them. And when we hugged them, we stayed a week, and we ended up falling in love with the country of Rwanda. I probably shouldn't talk so much about Rwanda, but Rwanda is a very unique place, and the spirit of Rwanda to do it themselves is so it's so magnetic. You just can't. You just are tied to them, and you want to help somebody who wants to help themselves that much. And so that's how we got back in contact, and we began to go. And first of all, we were involved with a group who did a school. That school is now a school of excellence in the country.
How long did it take to build that school?
Well, you know, honestly, we didn't build it. We raised the money in about 2 or 3 years. I mean, we didn't raise the money all over the 2 or 3 years, but about 2 or 3 years in, they said we really need a school for the orphans because everybody pays school fees for every school in Africa, and these orphans with no family had no way to get an education. And it was just an amazing thing how that happened because there was a family that had a foundation, and they had decided they would give from the foundation when their children started to school, and they did, and they raised the majority of it. We gave the money to Simon and Kedris, who are trusted partners. That's one of our values. And they took the money, they built the school, they hired the the staff. They chose the curriculum. They've run the school now. And it was 8th in the nation in exit exams.
Wow.
And for a while, they were running it on $60 a year per child. So it's just an amazing thing what you can do if you just get into it in Africa. So that just built and built and built. And then Simon was actually in the States, and Scott can tell you that story.
Can you tell me a little bit about the book?
Oh, yes, the book. You were asking about raising money, and we have tried lots of different things besides begging, which we're not above doing. So
We don't like begging.
I'm officially
Absolutely.
begging right now.
We have tons of endless in Athens, but
Yeah.
just want to mention them.
But we have Market Rwanda, which we hope to do here in the spring. So anybody who'd like to be involved in that, we're going to talk afterwards. We have something called the Million Kid Movement that we are working on developing. I mean, actually, it's a great idea that we need people your age who know all about social media and how to make things go viral and all that sort of thing. Because look at these wrinkles. They
You know a little something.
they make, I know a little something. I know people who know a lot of something. Okay, so anyway, the purpose of Million Kid Movement is to find 1 million children to give $1, and we have this little saying: give $1, find one friend, build one hospital. That's our goal. And so the idea is that we could raise $1 million if we just had 1 million kids. And that's very doable, and that would be awesome. And so it's obvious what that site, that idea, that fundraising campaign does for the Rwandan children. It builds them a hospital. But we think it's even almost as exciting, maybe more exciting for the American children, because the children get to give out of their own money. Every child can earn $1 to give, find $1, do something for $1.
And of course, we can give more than $1, correct?
Oh, yes, you could.
Absolutely.
We don't turn down money. I want to make that clear. Did I say that before? We beg. Okay, so anyway, $1 and find one friend. So any child could do it. So they learn to give. And then the second thing is they get introduced to real life heroes. I think if you ask any educators or child psychologists today, they would say we need heroes for our children. And this book is written about Simon and Kedris. And it begins when they had to run from the rumblings of what later turned into the genocide as little children. They got separated from their families. They grew up absolutely as orphans, particularly Kedris, who ran with her grandmother. Her grandmother died and she was alone in the forest, and she's passed around. Wow. So that story is in here. Mm-hmm. Then it goes on to tell how when Idi Amin threw all the refugees out of Uganda, they ended up in Kenya. They met each other, and they both had this thing of just building. And after the genocide occurred, they went back in. It was very, very hard for them to go back in. Right. It was very hard. But they did, and they started this church. And now, just this week, I found out we always say 22, there are now 24 of these churches who are dedicated to all those things that Scott said earlier. This book it just is encouraging. And also, when you buy this book, half the money goes to the hospital, to build a hospital. And we're an all-volunteer organization. Nobody's making any money out of this. Okay, and then the third thing is they learn about another culture. On that site, they're, get the kid to the hospital and pictures and the story and what children do and all that sort of thing. So honestly, this is my ask. If this grips your heart and you know how to make something like this go viral and go from kid to kid and can help us with that, please. That way it would be such a benefit to this cause.
Perfect, thank you. So where can we find out a little bit more information right now, because we're running out of time?
Okay, theyhadtorun.com is where you can get this book. You can buy it online. I just flip and showing it's got great artwork. It's written on the 6th grade level. It's adults like the book as well. Mm-hmm. You can go to theyhadtorun.com and click buy to get the book. The best site is 100days.org, where you can learn our full story and donate. And if you're interested in saying, well, I'm going to look at this millionkidmovement.org and see if I can help those people, go there.
Right. Well, thank you so much. Thank you both for coming on the show. This is such a powerful movement that we all can be a part of. So we'll be right back.